Hello, and welcome back to Christina's story. This is episode 10 of my series, Beauty in the Scars. So, where we left off in my last episode, I was preparing to have my second open heart surgery. I was really feeling positive about this surgery, looking forward to coming out feeling like $1,000,000 comparatively. And as often is the case in my story, it didn't quite go to plan.
There's a shocker.
I was prepared as I could be to go into this surgery. I was as fit as I could be. I had lost as much weight as I could. My family and friends were here to support me. My family flew out from California to be here for me. I was looking forward to having my heart work again, to getting the tumor out, and to getting my life back. I had a lot of peace going into it because I knew that ultimately my life was not in the hands of my surgeon, but it was in the hands of God, and that God was sovereign and in control, and everything is within his will. So knowing that, I was able to go into this knowing that I had done everything in my control to set it up for success, and the rest was in God's hands. So I checked into the hospital a few days before my surgery so that they could bridge my blood thinners because I have antiphospholipid syndrome. I always have to be anticoagulated. So I was in the hospital getting my IV meds. My family was able to be there with me. We were kind of hanging out, just making the most of this bit of time that we had together.
I don't want to learn any more life lessons. My character is developed. Go away.
Brian, is this our vacation?
Yeah,
Oh. Are we trash?
kinda.
So when the day of the surgery came, all my family was able to come up to my room early in the morning. It was before visiting hours, and spend some time with me and pray with me. And then they took me down to start prepping me. And my husband was able to go with me for that, was in a small room for probably about an hour or so while they were just getting everything ready. And then they let my family come into that room and say their see you later.
Say bye.
Bye. Okay, we'll be here to celebrate this vacation when you get back. We had a lot of conversation beforehand about preparing for surgery and how to avoid an issue with compartment syndrome happening again. And my surgeon was confident nothing like that would happen again. So I woke up in the ICU, and my family was there with me, and I woke up to my dad calling my name aggressively, like, you better wake up. And, I do what my dad says. So woke up. I was intubated, which is normal. When you wake up from open heart surgery, you're intubated. Uh, that's for me is like the worst part, being awake while you're intubated. So I knew and expected that would be a tough time, and was just looking forward to having that part over with. Luckily, I did not wake up with pain in my leg this time. Eventually, they did extubate me, and that's when I start feeling a little bit better, but not really. I was super thirsty, but I couldn't drink water. They were trying to give me ice chips, but I was letting them melt in my mouth, and I was coughing, which they were concerned about that. about me aspirating. So they weren't really letting me have ice chips or water, and my mouth was super dry, and I was just really miserable. And this guy came in with like this little sponge on a lollipop stick and kind of rubbed it around in my mouth and was like, "There, doesn't that feel better?" And I was like, "No, it doesn't. I want a glass of water." Um, but bless their hearts, they do their best.
Just been figuring out in different directions to make sure she's covered here.
So are we gonna do the pacemaker?
Probably, we're gonna have the world famous rhythm specialist here at Mayo Clinic look at her. They'll be the decision maker, whether it's, yeah, she needs a pacemaker, let's just do it tomorrow, or it'll be, let's watch her over the weekend and see.
Okay.
And maybe she won't, but,
Okay.
that sort of thing, so.
How's your pain control?
What?
How's your pain?
It comes and goes. I'm uncomfortable right now.
Okay.
Other times I'm comfortable, so.
Okay. Just having an uncomfortable minute.
Yeah.
And where's the pain the worst for you?
Right now it's my chest. Sometimes it's my neck and back.
Okay.
My arms are numb.
They're numb. Okay. Both sides.
Yeah.
Can you feel me touching you on the back of your
Yeah,
head?
they're like a sleep.
Is it asleep?
Yeah.
Is it position or has it been like that since sleep?
It's been like that consistently.
Okay. More so in certain fingers or all? Okay. What about your toes?
My toes are fine.
Fine. Okay. Good.
You guys, Dr. Six is gonna call, but he may not be on the call, but I just call, because we've got my episode. Yeah. I'll tell him, I'm fine, I put the leaves up here, there's just red leaves, the home's right here, and it's in red. But she's got the 2H roll.
Are you nauseous at all?
I was, but I'm not.
Okay. Have some surgery? Yeah.
I'm just running in and out because we just finished a heart transplant, and now I'm going to clinic, so we'll be back. And obviously Jen's here all weekend.
And numbness in your right arm, is
I'm
that?
being tucked at her side for a long operation.
That'll go away.
You know, she and I are built the same way, and it's kind of, yeah, it's compression right here, it goes away.
Okay.
Usually affects these things here.
Okay.
It's just,
You know, with like compartment syndrome, now we're all.
oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's not bad. It's not bad.
Okay.
Very good. It's the worst of it. It's the morning after, or now the afternoon after. But it's the day after a big, getting hit by a truck. So, all right. Tomorrow will be better.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Gotta keep I know as is.
Oh, the.
Nitric. Well, we just leave it for now. Tomorrow, Jen will be here tomorrow. Yeah. Give her another 24. It's a long day yesterday.
We're talking about the gas that's going through the nasal cannula right now. We're just gonna keep that on to help support her right heart for overnight.
Okay.
Just a safety net.
And that's what's connected to that machinery.
The back,
In there?
the one that was
Behind it?
that.
Okay.
We have SEO2 ordered K12 and I think that's one. Okay.
I think she's doing fine. We just want to, the next step is to, okay, how do we get her out the door to home, and if that's physical strength and making sure her rhythm's stable and all those sorts of things. The drains will come out over the weekend.
Okay.
The big two. All right.
Thank you.
We'll see you later. Okay. Do you need anything else? No. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So I believe I spent about a week in the ICU because I started developing a fever and I had a cough, which coughing when your chest is broken is not a fun experience, and coughing a lot is really not good for you in that state. I was coughing things up. Like I said, running a fever. They were like, "Were you sick when you came in?" I'm like, no, I wasn't." They were trying to break the fever. I was extremely miserable. I ended up developing pretty bad cough and my left lung collapsed. Um, so that was a whole issue with my breathing and coughing. And then the temporary pacers that they put in stopped working. So, pacer wires in place manually, and then they ended up like they had some kind of medical ball that they like pushed up against it and had to tape it down, and it was super painful to apply some kind of pressure to keep they're doing all this to try and get the pacer to work. I just remember like sitting there looking at the ceiling and for the first time ever being like, okay, this might be it. I don't know, this is not good. I feel like I'm losing myself. Um, and it wasn't a scary moment because, um, death, where is your sting? That's not a fear that I have, but it was like, okay, I've been through so many things medically, and I've never felt like this might be it, but this might be it. Um, but they were able to get me in to get a pacemaker put in.
Yeah. All right. How are you? You feeling okay? I'm sure you're tired.
Not so great.
Not so great. Why is that? Pain? Yeah. Chest?
Yeah, when they applied, had to tape me up and put the pressure to get the pacemaker to work, it
So, yeah.
became a lot more uncomfortable.
We had to put a pressure vessel there to press on that area, and that caused a fracture. So since then, we haven't been able to do big turns, do anything else. We're already maxed out on that.
Next level. And there are two sets of pictures. You tested both.
Both of them were tested, yeah.
This is our pocket here.
Yeah.
Okay. So, here's what we have. That valve, right, it sits by the central node of the heart. So they had to resect quite a bit around that valve to get the mass around it and everything. So the node is not working anymore. This is not unusual. This is very common in these surgery, especially for somebody getting for a second set of surgery, right? That's your second one. The good news, they anticipated that. So they put two leads, permanent leads on the heart. And the reason why they don't want us to go through inside intravascularly through the tricuspid valve to get to the bottom chamber. So we have those leads in. We need still one more lead for the upper chamber, the atrium, the upper chamber. So we're going to have to go through the vasculature to go to the upper chamber, okay? But this is essentially 50% of the procedure is done. The thing is, with their anticipation that you have very high risk that you're going to need a pacemaker, there's no good reason to wait. We can do a temporary pacemaker again, and it doesn't make any sense. So we'll go ahead and just open the same pocket here that she has, okay?
Okay.
They did that already for us, anticipating that she's going to need the pacer. Add one more lead to the upper chamber and hook her to a permanent pacemaker. These pacemakers last for 8, 9, 10 years. So they are much more, I don't know, you can expect what their behavior is, right? These are a little bit iffy because position and everything, yes, it can change that. Now, can we have surprises down there? That's a possibility. Could we go in and find that these leads are not functioning to the perfect level? Yes, then we're going to have to go back to the drawing board and put additional wires. So, but we can still avoid the tricuspid valve because we can go through the vein of the heart and the bottom of the heart and get it done. But I think
What are the
we're
chances of that?
very low.
Because they
5%
checked them
or
and you
less.
just didn't, didn't they check them?
Now they can't check them. They're
Okay.
under the skin, right?
Right.
These are the ones. They are
Okay,
permanent.
okay,
So I think we need to get this taken care
okay.
of. All right?
Uh-huh.
So adding the other lead is minimally invasive.
Yeah.
Okay.
We go so through this pocket that is already formed.
Okay.
We essentially thread that lead through the vein to the heart.
Okay.
That's it. Takes 10 minutes.
Oh, wow, okay.
So this is pretty simple procedure. The risk is very small. It's not like zero, but it's less than 1%. Really,
Okay.
less than 1%.
Okay.
So our risk is very tiny here. I think to be safe coming to the weekend, these wires are so,
Yeah.
yeah, essentially. Well, this is very common because these are temporary wire. They're
Right.
not meant to stay forever.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think we need to get this out of the way.
Okay.
Okay?
That sounds fine.
Sounds
That
good?
sounds good.
So
All right,
like
perfect.
today out of the way?
Today out of the way.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
Today out of the way. All right.
Okay, she's only had sips of water and ice chips, so
She's ready.
she's coming, she hasn't. Yeah.
Good.
Okay.
Perfect. Let's get this
Thank
done.
you.
All right.
So we feel comfortable.
Yeah, exactly.
And so they had to take me in to put in the pacemaker. So they took me for that. They threw like a towel over my face. They said they were going to give me a cocktail of medications, and they were like, it's the I don't care cocktail or something because you're not going to care about anything. And so they gave me that, and they threw a towel over my face, and then they start opening the area right here for my pacemaker. And I could feel everything. And I was like, I still care. I still care. And I don't like having this towel over my face. So they kind of like held it up so it wasn't directly on my face, but they were like, there was no stopping at this point, and I felt the whole thing. But I had confidence not in my situation, but in my salvation. Scripture says, I write these things to you who believe in the name of the Son of God, that you may know that you have eternal life. 1 John 5:13. And I knew. And so I didn't feel strong physically, but I felt strong spiritually because my hope was never in my situation to begin with. It was in Jesus. And so there's just like an instinct in me that kicks in where I just don't panic, and I'm just going to fight till I can't fight anymore. And hold on, and I'm going to pull through if it's at all within um, my power, but really it's God's power that He's given to me. So I do remember telling my family as I was in the ICU recovering from this surgery, I said, you better enjoy me while you have me because I'm never doing this again. Like, I'm good. It's, I just couldn't imagine going through it a third time, but we'll get to that later. While I'm recovering from surgery, life keeps going on. It was my daughter's junior year of high school, so I was missing a lot of her milestones. My husband had to step up and he took some time off work and was having to really step into taking care of her and getting her where she needed to be. She ended up getting her driver's license while I was recovering from this surgery and was really becoming more independent. So it was good timing for her to be able to get her driver's license. But it was kind of sad to be seeing some of that dependence that she had on me kind of slipping away while I'm just really struggling to get by. So after I got the pacemaker and eventually got out of the ICU, I spent a couple more weeks in the hospital trying to recover, trying to get over the cough, trying to get my lungs stronger. And it was just hard. I was getting depressed and just done with being in the hospital. And I finally got discharged and then only to get sent back into the hospital literally a few days later. So went home for a couple days, went in for an appointment with my surgeon, a follow-up appointment, and he sent me to the ER to be readmitted. I just wasn't recovering the way that they had hoped, and I was really swollen, retaining a ton of fluid. My body just wasn't cooperating. I was just like so puffy, even like in my back and everything. Just like when I looked in the mirror, it was not a pretty sight. So ended up getting readmitted. The few days I had out of the hospital were enough for me to kind of have a mental reset, and so I was in a better state mentally when I did get readmitted, and I handled that pretty well. Was in the hospital for another week while they adjusted my meds and diuresed me and things like that. And then when I finally did go home, I was still in a lot of pain. My breathing was still really poor. I was on oxygen. Surgery was in October. By Christmas, I was still not okay. My mom was taking care of my wounds, and I'm dragging around these oxygen tanks everywhere I go. I couldn't get my hands on a portable oxygen tank. And I really wanted to be able to go home and spend Christmas with all of my family together. So my mom here in Arizona loaded up my car, filled the trunk full of oxygen tanks, and drove 14 hours up to Northern California for Christmas, just so that I could be with my family, and then turned around and drove back in January so that I could start cardiac rehab. And that's where things started to improve for me. I did 12 weeks of cardiac rehab, 3 days a week. Didn't miss a single session, not one, because at that point I was done just surviving. I was ready to get my life back. So cardiac rehab is it was 3 days a week, an hour to 2 hours a day, exercising in a gym-like setting at the cardiac hospital with nurses and exercise physiologists, and hooked up to heart monitors so that they can keep an eye on how the heart is doing, and then they check um, my blood pressure as I'm working out multiple times, and have a really set program for me where I'm slowly building up on it. Was still on oxygen, so I'm exercising while on oxygen, and um, I was the only one there that was on oxygen. I was also by far the youngest person there, and one of only a couple of females there in, a group of probably about 10 people at a time are there. It's the same time Monday, Wednesday, Friday with the same people. So you kind of get to know them. Some cycle out as new ones come in, but definitely a humbling experience um, to be there with people so much older than you that seem to be in better health than you, even after just having a cardiac event. But I was determined to push through and to get better and to get my life back. As I've said, Isaiah 40:29 says he gives strength to the weary, and that's what he did. And cardiac rehab is super incredible. I highly recommend it to anyone that's had a cardiac event or procedure and has the opportunity to do the cardiac rehab. Not a lot of people actually do it, and even less people actually finish it. But if I get the opportunity to talk to people that have a chance to do it, I really highly, highly encourage them. So, but they start you off so light, it feels like silly, and build you up so slowly. But by the time I graduated, I was off the oxygen. I was starting to be able to work out in the gym a little bit. I had gone on a couple of hikes, so was definitely seeing the results of that. And I was in tears on the day that I finished it. I was just really proud of myself for pushing through and making it through all 12 weeks of that. And looking forward to, at that point, continuing to recover on my own. So as I mentioned, I started going to the gym. I was going to spin class. I was doing hikes again. And for the first time in a long time, I just was feeling really hopeful, like maybe things were finally going to be okay. And about a year after my surgery, I got sick. I got a virus or something that maybe normally wouldn't be a big deal, maybe a little bit of fever, a little bit of cough, but I just never fully recovered from that. My stamina went downhill. I was having a really hard time doing exercises again. I was getting dizzy and nauseous during my spin class, and I kept telling myself, like, this is just an off week. I just got to keep pushing myself. It'll get better. But it was just the beginning of a decline. Around this time, it was time to do my mud run again that I mentioned in my last video, and how when I did the mud run before this surgery, I was just really looking forward to the following year, and I was going to be stronger and be able to do it so much better. And this was supposed to be like a redemption moment for me in my own head. And it was so much harder than the year before. I almost was afraid I wasn't going to finish, that I was going to need to get carted off the course. I had to skip a couple of the obstacles. I did have some friends from the gym come out as bystanders, and they went through um, alongside me through the whole thing and were cheering me on and supporting me. And I don't think I could have done it if it wasn't for them. When I crossed the finish line, I was so exhausted and I was in tears, and I was just feeling very discouraged at this point because I thought I was going to be so much further along, and I could just feel myself slipping back in the wrong direction and couldn't seem to stop it. So at some point after that, it was determined that my new valve wasn't doing well. It was leaking pretty badly. I was told that the valves that they use for replacement on tricuspid are like the worst replacement valves. They don't have a lot of longevity or success rates. Um, it was possible that the virus that I had damaged the valve. Um, so it was like I was right back where I started. So at this point, all I could do was put my trust in God and know that he was in control, even if it wasn't working out the way that I expected. And if you've ever had a season like that when things just feel really heavy and uncertain and like you're just falling backwards, I just want to remind you that you do not have to have it all together to come to God. We have a God who we can approach boldly and honestly, and he is not distant from our suffering. Um, Scripture says, "Let us with confidence draw near to the throne of grace, that we may receive mercy and find grace to help in time of need." Hebrews 4:16. So we can come to God boldly. All these moments like this that you've heard in my story so far over and over again are all the moments where I have really learned to lean on God, and that my future is not in my own hands. It's in the hands of my creator and my savior. I don't have to be strong because God is strong for me. When I'm weak, then I am strong. I can trust him fully. And I know that each of these hard parts of my story not only built me personally, helped me develop character and strength, but they're also an opportunity for me to learn to support others who are going through similar things. So if you are struggling in this way, just know that I see you, and I can understand and can empathize, and I am here to talk with you if you need someone that understands your story. So, in the next episode, we're going to talk about what it was like to develop a plan to fix my heart for the third time. And you're going to watch me go in a head to head fight with my insurance company in the battle of my life. So, trust me, you're going to want to hear this next part.